Welcome everybody, this is the General SharePoint Development Special Interest Group bi-weekly sync, and this is the December 13th edition. So basically this is the call where we talk about anything else than SharePoint Framework or the JavaScript development. So the target of this call is basically, let's say, list formatting, column formatting, provisioning, CSAM, PowerShell, Azure functions, and solution designs and so on. So a pretty broad picture, because SharePoint development is not, it's definitely much more than just the SharePoint framework and calling an API. So at least for me personally, SharePoint development is a combination of those experiences. For example, let's say combining how do you enable the mecha menu and then multilingual functionalities and then hitting the APIs and adding some web parts on things and all of that. So all of that kind of a end-to-end design is meant to be discussed within this bi-weekly call. And then the other bi-weekly call is around the SharePoint framework and open source projects related on JavaScript development. So that's basically how we think about these things. And on top of that, we do have the monthly community call, which was this week as well. My kid had a birthday party, so I wasn't there. I was jumping actually in trampoline, making sure that our 7-year-old and his friends were jumping properly in tampering. So I do apologize. I prioritized my family on top of that monthly call, but it's pretty understandable, hopefully, for a lot of people. That's how it should be, right? First health, then family, then hobbies, right? Now, let's actually get going on the call itself. Now, first of all, before we go to the agenda of today, just a reminder for everybody, there are opportunities for you to get visibility in this call. So if you're looking into getting an MVP or looking into getting more exposure for the community or looking into showing something and getting feedback from the rest of the community, these calls are basically an option for you. So you can absolutely demo a solution or a technical pattern in these calls, and we're going to see actually 2 of those today. So you can actually do a live demo in these calls. Right now we have pretty booked schedule until the mid of January, which is a good thing. So we don't have to worry about always like 2 days before the call that who's going to present something. So we have quite a lot of people in the queue, but we absolutely welcome other people in the queue as well. So if you have a good idea, if you want to show something which, even though it would be a repeat potentially on what has been shown, there's always some new things which we learn from each other. So seeing is believing, and that way we learn new stuff. The second way of participating on the community is contributing in GitHub. So you can absolutely contribute in GitHub using the GitHub pull requests and community channels, or then provide feedback, which is basically then giving us feedback using social media channels, giving us feedback using any other channels as well, or the issue list, which we're going to mention again on the call. There are certain slides which I want to keep in every single presentation what we do. Now, few announcements, the agenda for the day. Few general announcements and updates on the SharePoint development. We actually do have a small surprise related on the SharePoint development roadmap. And now if you're super impatient, you can actually click forward on the slides and you'll see what's coming up on the roadmap slide. Then after that, we're going to talk about, there's going to be 2 demos. So from Subrato, a one demo, which is a real world experience on building a modern portal for SharePoint Online. So that's really interesting to hear how that portal was built and what are the learnings and what worked and what didn't work and all of that. And then a second one from Venkat, who's on the call as well, around how do we do the PMP provisioning integration using Microsoft Flow and Azure Automation Runbook. So really cool stuff. Nice to see these demos live, because this is real world. Both of the demos are actually something which people are using in real world in SharePoint Online in production, which is really cool. Now, a few kind of classic slides. So documentation and guidance, AKMS SP Dev Docs. Go there. If something is missing, if you find a typo, click the edit button on the top right corner and submit us a message or a suggestion for the documentation edit. All of the SharePoint development documentation is in this one location. We're looking into actually still merging the Microsoft Flow and Power Apps documentation in the context of SharePoint into the same location. That's been an ongoing task for us for a long time. So we will have a one location to remember rather than multiple different locations, and it's difficult to find them. And we're looking into having additional documentation here in the future as well. We're pretty close on breaking the 1 million. I'm estimating that most likely in January timeframe we'll actually break the 1 million views in this location, which is pretty cool. It means that people are finding the relevant location to find guidance. The second thing which I always have on the slides is around the issue list, so AKMS SBDev issues. So if you have a developer issue, if you run into an unexpected situation on an API, or you have a question related on some API, the issue list is there to help you. Now, we are significantly behind of your submission, and we do apologize on that. Our engineering is jumping on any urgent things immediately, and we try to track if there's any critical things immediately, but we're having a small resourcing challenge on keeping up on all of the incoming messages and questions. Some of them are documentation comments, some of them are actual issues, and some of them are questions. So we're trying to get that process in a better stage in the future, so after holiday break, you can actually see changes on this area as well. Oh, the one thing what I didn't actually forget about, because I can see Bert's face on top of that icon on the top right corner. So just out of curiosity, because I don't see that much discussion on the Ion window before we go to the roadmap and everything else, what is your feeling around the new logo? The SharePoint logo. We talked about this one in the monthly community call on Tuesday. So basically, Irvin asked exactly the same question. It is the teal logo on the top, bottom right corner, or do I have a situation where I'm not just seeing any messages on the chat? Yes, I'm actually not seeing any messages on the chat. That explains why I'm not seeing anybody chatting anything. Cool. Some people consider that boring. More cowbell. Okay. I think there's actually 4 colors on them. I've been okay. Yeah, there's a square isn't in the center in the circle. Yeah, I know, Stephen. I do agree on that. There's some weird stuff on that logo. I'm not gonna criticize too much on the things. I do like the fact that there's some new way of thinking. If you put the modern Office add-ins and application logos side by side, they are actually something new. So they're not piggybacking too much on the old model, and they're trying to come up with this new way of exposing our application. So how does it feel like? Obviously, change is always bad, right? So every single time we introduce something that's changed, the immediate first reaction is like, no, I want to keep on doing what I am doing. But it's about time the SharePoint logo is getting evolved as well. But it takes some time to adjust on that. So after looking into that one for a while, it seems to be, yeah, it's not too bad. I will work on also let me rephrase that. Our SharePoint Dev PMP Community Marketing Director will work on the updating of all of the slides templates, so we will flip to the teal model relatively soon as well, because we need to get aligned on the marketing messaging, so all colors. So just to let you know, so it might be next week in the SharePoint Framework call where we're already completely teal. So hopefully hopefully you will be joining this call still, regardless of the color. Teal is the new orange. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Cool. Orange is my favorite color, so that's the reference for those people who don't actually understand that, which seems to be a weird thing as well. People don't quite understand how that could be. Now, okay, so something updates on the roadmap. I promised to do some quick update on the roadmap on in the social media and the Twitter earlier today as well. So the slide itself, the main slide hasn't been actually modified. So right now what we're doing is that basically our number one objective is to get whatever is now in preview as part of the 1.7 to get G8. So the 1.8 will GA some of the functionalities which are in preview right now. So as an example, I can probably say this out loud and nobody's going to bite me from Redmond. Luckily, they're so far away from my physical location. We're looking into potentially get the Microsoft Teams tabs GA as part of the 1.8 version of the SharePoint framework. So we would get the Teams development, tab development to GA quite fast because we want that to be available for you, because we want people to be able to easily implement Microsoft Teams tabs. That will require some work still, but it's planned to be in 1.8. When will 1.8 happen? Well, it doesn't happen by end of this year, definitely not. It's already mid-December, and it takes 2 weeks roughly to Redmond to come back online and start actually working when they get back from the holiday vacation, and from there it will take roughly well, multiple weeks to actually get everything finalized and polished and documented and all of that. So you can kind of estimate where we're looking into having the 1.8 version from the timeline. Now, situation might change. It might be that we delay the GA of the tabs, Microsoft Teams tabs after. So please do not quote me on Vesa promised to deliver this on certain date, because that is not true. Now, the one thing what I wanted to actually kind of say as a new update is that we just this week we actually decided to do a surprise release, and this is, well, obviously it's not a massive release. I think last week I said that, well, it would be foolish to release a new version of SharePoint Framework before Christmas, because you do not ship on the 5 p.m. on Friday evening. But surprise, I lied. Well, I didn't lie, technically. Obviously, we need to adjust our timelines and roadmaps based on our findings. There are a few, let's say, small nasty bugs related on subset of functionalities in SharePoint Framework. So we want to actually ship 1.7.1, which will basically have a few fixes and bug fixes on certain areas. So there's fixes, for example, for dynamic data. If you're using array objects between the dynamic data objects, and you're basically then that fix is included there. There's fixes related on PNMP. So if you're using not NPM package manager, you're using PNMP package manager, there's fixes related on that one, and a few other kind of small things which are coming in 1.7.1. And this is now planned to go live. Yes, it's the holiday release. This is now planned to go live next week, potentially. Well, it might be, obviously, it definitely cannot be delayed after next week, because the following week is already everybody is off, so it has to happen next week. So we will push it out on next week. But it's basically, we're already testing that, we're validating that. Like I said, there's no new functionalities as such. It's a there to fix certain known bugs which were part of the 1.7. That's just to be clear on that. Good. At least we have got to have one new slide and one small surprise on this deck, so that's always good. And we will absolutely have the release notes and blog post and everything else out whenever this goes live. But like I said, no new functionalities, mainly bug fixes and a certain subset of things which we found, and we want to get those fixed so we can concentrate on 1.8 and get the other stuff out. Good. Cool. No, my clicker doesn't work, so let me activate that window and click one more time. Now, before we go to the actual demos today, this is a recurrent thing which we want to start doing on this bi-weekly SharePoint Dev General session. So we'll have our Chris Kent from the PMP core team doing a small tips and hints related on view formatting. So because Chris is actually a master on this section, and he has plenty of kind of a small nuggets and hints and tips related on this functionality, we'll start this recurrent, let's say, time spot for Chris from this session forward until at least for the spring, and he will come up with something every single bi-weekly. Right, Chris? No pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure. So just.
I'm still working on this one.
Yes. Oh, it's too fast. Was I too fast? Okay, I can talk 5 minutes now. Just kidding. But let's actually let's set the stage for Chris, and Chris can actually share his screen. And then in the future agendas, you will see Chris's, let's say, booked space on the agenda as well. But there are Chris is absolutely a specialist on the view formatting, and which is the column formatting and view formatting. Why is it view formatting? Weekly tip on list formatting. I'm writing that wrong. I will need to update the last.
Right.
Mr. Formatting. And to be fair, Chris is much more than just a season formatting guy. But anyway, I will let you go through the demo. So take it away.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. All good.
All right. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look at a real quick tip here when you're attaching a flow to a list item. So we've got our classic Warrior Horses site here. All right, now I've got some things I want people to do. So I've got some flows. It's not super obvious here, but I've got a flow attached. But when I select an item, all right, up here, I come here, I can deploy horse lasers, I can request sign off, whatever I need, right? Now, if I know the flow is there, and I know what I'm looking for, well, that works pretty well. But what if you want to put it in a much more obvious way for users so that they can just click a button and launch that flow and do whatever they need, right? So we can use column formatting. All right, so you can see I've already got some column formatting assigned here, but let's take a look at what we could do, right? So if we go over here to our handy-dandy repo, that sounds good, called handy-dandy, great. So it's spdev list formatting. So we'll show you a link here at the end. I'll paste a few of those in, unless someone wants to beat me to it. But in here, we've got a ton of samples for you. Be checking these out. We've got a lot of column samples as well as view samples. Today, we're going to take a look at a column sample, a classic one called generic start flow. Here you can see all it's going to do is add this nice little button here where we can click a button. It's going to launch the exact flow we want. So how do we do that? Right? So I need a column for that. So I can add a column. If I had a single line of text, right, we'll call it thingy. That sounds good. Right? I don't need anything in it because I'm just going to use that as a format. There's a bit of a problem here, and this is the quick tip. Right? So if I come in here and I'm going to add a new item, or I'm going to edit this item, say, the problem is, although I'm not using that column for anything but a format, I've now got it here. This is confusing to end users. Like, what do I have to fill out here? Like, what is this column? So how can we avoid this showing up here? Well, we can do that pretty easy. So the way we're going to do that is, I'm going to go to list settings real quick and delete my, I'm not going to say the thing, my thingy column here. I made myself laugh. All right, good. All right, so we delete the column. We're going to get rid of that. So there is a better way. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to add a column, and instead of choosing one of these obvious ones here, we're going to come down here, we're going to pick more. We're going to go to this super complicated calculated column. It's not complicated at all. So I pick calculated. We're going to give it a column name. In this case, I'm going to call it action. Right? Now for a formula, you can do this nice thing where you say equals quotation mark, right? Or double quotes, and that's going to create just an empty formula. That allows you to do nothing at all with calculated columns, but because calculated columns don't show up on your new and edit forms, they're just going to show up right there in the list view and allow you to apply a format directly to them. Now, while we're editing this, we've got this nice little box down here for column formatting. So let's go back over here. Let's grab this guy. So whenever you're using these samples, you don't need to download anything. Just find the JSON file. You click that directly on the GitHub site, and you can copy that. So if we take a look at what's happening here, very briefly, we can see here, we've got this, all we're going to do is, we're going to create a button, right? And then we've got this ID element here, which we'll talk about. That's your flow ID. And then the rest of this stuff is just things to make it look less like a button. So we've got things down here for, to hide the button. And we've got things where we want to specify an icon, and we've got some text here. So it's very easy to customize this. So let's take a look. So just grab it. So all you do is you grab the whole thing. Then you're going to copy it. Then if you go back over here where we're creating that column, I'm going to paste it right in. Right. So where do I get this ID, right? How do I get my ID for my flow? Well, we go to our flow site, which I did not open. So let's just duplicate this. All right, so if we go back to our list, go back to our list of things, and if we chose flow, and we say see your flows, so I've already got a flow set up, whether that's the request or the request sign off, or in the future, right, in a few days here, we're going to get the set a timer, a reminder, all that kind of stuff. You pick the flow you want. It's going to open up here. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. You guys can see that. We've got here between flow and details, we've got this ID right here. Let's see. Wow. Oh, gosh. Got it? So we're going to grab that. We're just going to copy it, and we're going to paste it in. So when we're creating that column, we're going to delete that little ID there in the action params. We're going to paste it there. That's as technical as you really need to get down here. If you want, you can change the text right here on text content. So we'll say lasers. That sounds good. If we want to change that icon, let's see, I can't quite see all my. I've got this. If you go over here to UI Fabric, right, you've got all these icons, and you can search for things. So I'm going to choose rocket, right? It is case sensitive, so I'm just going to grab rocket there, and we'll paste that in. Let's go back to the full screen here. It was very helpful that they put the presenting bar right over my tabs. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. So now I've got this exciting format that says lasers. Right, so now I don't have to do anything. I don't have to select an item first and then go up to the flow and find it and know that it's there. And sometimes it'll show for a few seconds as it's loading. Right, it's a bit of a hassle. So now I can just hit lasers. All right, and it's going to launch over the flow manual for me, the exact flow I want, and we're good to go. And when I go to edit this item, right, You'll see I don't see anything here in the edit a new form to confuse end users. Okay, that's it. That's the entire quick tip here. If we take a look, a couple of links real quick just to check those out. This is where you want to go. So go to github.com/SharePoint/SP-dev-list-formatting. Go there, and you can see all of these awesome samples. There's a ton of them. That one is the generic start flow under column samples. Here's the tips on how to do it. Here's where you go to get your icons. And if you want to see all that written up in a blog post, here you go. Check it out. All right, that's it for the quick tips this time. Join us next time. All right.
Thank you, Chris. Awesome stuff. We'll definitely get you on the next one as well. Cool. And let's put it on the as a, like I said, we kind of have a recurrent tips from Chris around these topics for upcoming calls as a bi-weekly surprise. And so he will come up with something, and I'm pretty sure that he's capable of coming up with something for the whole spring and for the rest of the years to come. At the same time, we from engineering side, whenever we are evolving these capabilities, will cover whatever the list views and for the view formatting or column formatting additional things are. We'll cover those in this course as well. So we're definitely gonna have that content covered in this bi-weekly call as well. Awesome demo, excellent stuff. Now let's go forward on the demo slides. So the actual demos, well, that was already a good demo, but I think we'll start with Subrato. So let's see if around the real-world experiences on building modern portal on SharePoint Online. So Subrato, and I do apologize my pronunciation. I do not know how to pronounce your name properly. Can you unmute and let's see if we can actually get this. Sharing is starting, but audio still is missing. There we go. Can we hear you? Now you're unmuted.
Yeah. Hi, Risha. How are you?
Yeah, here we go. Now we have a connection. Excellent, excellent. Just need to make sure that we get your screen sharing. There we go. Now it's loading for me.
Yeah. Hi. Are you able to see my screen?
1 second, and there's the screen. Yep, got it, got it. Excellent. Feel free to take it away.
Okay, so let me just introduce myself. Good day, everyone. I'm Subrato Kumar Pati, product engineer at Saketa. I'm a technology enthusiast. Love exploring all tech things from new gadgets to latest frameworks. And talking about Saketa, we are pioneers in the SharePoint and Office 365 solution space, making digital transformation and workspace with SharePoint elegant, engaging, and simple. Well, our specialty offerings are Migrator and Internet Portal Suite, among which I'm going to demo Office 365 Internet Portal Suite to you today. So basically, these are the walkthroughs that I will be taking you through. Saketa Internet Suite and what we came up with. So Saketa Internet Suite, it is basically a whole package to fulfill different needs of an organization as a whole or a department-wise or team-wise, a single package solving them all together. So talking about how we use it and what it makes it different is everything is packaged within. No need to copy templates, compatible across all the screen, easily configurable, 100% built on top of SPFX, and it's an internet within the box. And the best part is that it can integrate a portal to the Microsoft Teams. So let me just take you to the demo of the product. So this is basically the Saketa Internet Suite. Simple. I hope you guys are able to see my screen.
We can see no, actually, we can only see a gray area. I can see a mouse moving there, but it seems to be that it's not, you didn't share the screen potentially, you just only shared a application. That
just a moment.
That might have actually happened there. Because I can see the mouse moving, but we can't actually see what's...
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's visible now.
Yep, now it's visible. Yep, now it works. Contoso, woohoo! Contoso Parks.
The virtual biggest company. So like this is basically the Saketa Intent Suite. So talking about the look and feel, it is like totally aligned with the modern experience of SharePoint. So talking about like what all things we came across. So here we have the menu, which is basically a mega menu. So keeping it simple and accessible for the users. Apart from that, like this is completely just. So talking about this, like what basically Saketa Intent Suite is all about. We have the like uniform user experience, SharePoint built-in features put to use, no redoing what is already existing, and like I'll just simply show you, like this is basically the interface for the user. So suppose I want to add a new quick link to this. Yeah, that's our Bill Gates avatar over there. So it is just same experience of adding like SharePoint item. So I'll just put it as Microsoft. Over here, link name is Microsoft. So that's all, like the link has been added to it, and let's move to our home page. So I guess there's a glitch. So, okay. That's all. I just need to keep it active. And it's done. Sorry, that took too much from my side. So I'll just, so it's done. We just move to our links and we have our insert PNP link added, and that's all. So coming to the events, it takes care from the event like library, we can use it behind, and all these widgets fill into the Saketa Intent Suite. So coming to like how we can basically configure a simple page template from the Saketa Intent Suite and getting our intent ready for the same. So this add a Saketa Intent Suite to it. And now like over here, as we can see, this is the general section which actually takes care of like many other things, talking about the themes, the like what to say about the presentation wise, like whether it is a light one or a dark one, which we basically named it as Orion or Nightingale. Talking about the navigation, as I showed the mega menu, we can choose it as a simple menu as well. Apart from that, we can choose a particular font for format selection, which will be reflected across. And if I just switch it to, I can get a preview of the things, how things are going to look around. That's all on the general section. And just I'll apply it, I'll change the color, I'll just choose the thing and I'll just apply it. And the theme is applied for me. So it will ask whether I want to proceed with the layout and the widget customization. Yeah, I want to proceed with it. So I'll just choose for the layout and widgets customization. Now we'll just have different layouts, choosing over full column or like 2 column and 1 column, and that's all. Pick it up from the news and media. I'll put a carousel over here and a simple announcements and upcoming events. I just kept it. Well, I have different widgets across which can be used for the same. and then I'll just simply apply it. I'll just use the demo data to render. That's all it's done. And that was like how easy it is to configure Saket Entire Suite. So talking about the navigation, as we can see over here, it's like a mega menu which can hold like multiple navigation around and across, which is easily accessible for the user. Like let's move as we have the other option around. So suppose I want to put up a full page, but basically for SPFX we call up as a apart page. So I want a single widget across, so I'll just change my layout type. I'll move to a content hub, and I just want to put up an FAQ widget over here. So that's all. I'll just import it. I'll just change it to relevant data. And apply it. That's all. So that's all. Like now it's a full page basically widget which is taken across, and it is fully dedicated to the whole page. So meanwhile, like suppose eventually like I want it to be configured into a dark theme, so I'll just move to Nightingale and I'll just apply it. So just a refresh required, and we have our whole page modified into dark theme. So this set of the things can be accordingly configured for different departments. So let's talk about let's take it as a IT department. So over here we have basically what all things in the IT department will be interested to see. We have it configured over here, and it's like simply configured. So suppose like within the organization one would like to have a workspace for the employee. So we'll just name it as Engagement Hub. So that's all from us. So adding it to the taste, like we have something at the end which is as simple as like, so we can easily add it to the Microsoft Teams. So basically a team can have their own workspace and stay informed across for the same. That's all on this one. Like this was like a whole about the product over here. Coming to the point of like what all the technical challenges we faced and the issues we came across while bringing it up. So like while bringing up the page layout, so the point when we started with the page layout, so let's talk about the interesting wins and challenges. So the wins, basically I'll bring it up as like the page layout, when like basically the page layout was not out for the modern experience. So we started building it on our own from our side when there was like no page layout for the modern pages. So eventually, like when the upgrade came up and we had the page layout already introduced by Microsoft, and eventually like talking about the mega menu, like as we heard about the recent news that there is going to be a mega menu from like SharePoint as well in the modern experience, and we came up with that as well. And page templates, coming to the page templates, we had few like industry-wise page templates ready to use and go for it. And like as I read it on the SharePoint PNP, like we will be having the same from the SharePoint by January as well. So coming to the technical challenges, So we wanted to leverage the whole Office 365 into our suite before the MS Graph client came up. So Agile was helpful but was unable to provide a flawless experience. Eventually, like MS Graph client added colors to the experience that we actually wanted to provide. So that was like something as a win-win for us that came up in our roadmap. And now coming to the point, providing more than we are providing 30 plus widgets into it within the entire suite. So like that's a whole lot of thing to handle altogether. So performance came up as a challenge. So we wanted it to be dynamically loaded. So over here, using the SP component loader was a great help, which helped us to keep the common code across. And managing all the things in the development and making it ready for the production releases, we had a tough time for the same. So in the release pipeline in Azure DevOps, Gulp tasks helped us a lot for the same. So I guess it's pretty much how easily entire suite we were able to bring up. So I guess if we have something as a Q&A or questions that can come up, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Yep. So Subrato, can you go back one slide back on the just a few comments and kind of a questions, and obviously, sure. This was a kind of a combination of explaining what the Saketa intranet is. We agreed with Subrato that we will take the angle on how did they learn about the modern experiences, because there's a lot of partners, there's a lot of ISVs and system integrators which now they need to think through what does it actually mean that when Microsoft goes to the modern, and what does it mean for us? Is there a business for me? And what are the challenges? And it's combination of this demo was a combination of, hey, this is a cool stuff what you can do in modern, this is possible, but it is not open source because this is a product as well. And fair, we as in the PMP community, we need to be careful on not doing too much sales pitch on these calls, because that's not the intention as well. But now, on the implementation, is this Saketa? Is this? Did you have a presence already in the non-modern experiences of SharePoint? So was there a offering already at that point?
So can come again? It was too much to take in.
Sorry. So is Saketa? Have you had implementation and customizations already in a classic experience, or did you transform your existing stuff from classic to modern, or is this completely new offering?
It is completely on a modern experience.
Yeah, but so how do you feel? Was it a difficult thing to learn how to do implementations on the SharePoint framework? Was it a challenge for your development team as well?
So yeah, it was quite a challenge for our development team, because as the SPFX came in, as we had the old way school development side and a whole new thing was introduced. So we had a lot to go through across.
Yeah.
So eventually our whole thing is built on top of React. So we started with that and adapting to the SPFX framework and learning how things can be actually implemented on top of it. So that was a whole journey to take over and a whole lot of new things to learn across.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And you said actually that you're using React. Was that why do you use React versus something else? Just out of curiosity, I might guess why that the reason is, but.
So basically the rendering process, which is quite quick and fast, which we needed it for our internet and suite, because you want it to be quick when you are presenting it to the user. So I guess we choose React on that point.
And then obviously using a React, you can take advantage of the React controls, which Microsoft is providing, because we
Office Fabric, we use it as much as possible.
Yeah. What about there's a good question actually from Ralph. Have you guys in the Saketa intranet suite considered the fact that if a persona moves back on the classic, or are you hiding the move classic functionality? So what happens if you accidentally move to the classic experience?
So we are mostly focused about the modern experience, and we want to move with the modern experience itself. Yeah. So we didn't consider about the classic as of now.
Okay. So there's no additional kind of let's say.
So that is wherever SPFX is adaptable, the entire suite will work well and good over there.
Yeah. But now, if you would, so if you would go to a list or a document library, there is a move to classic link on the bottom left corner. and that would then mean that you would actually fall kind of outside of the experience, which is absolutely on Microsoft. We need to fix that. To be honest, there has to be a proper control on when that link is visible and can you disable the link, and we've been having that discussion for a long time. So I'm as an example personally pushing on a tenant level setting where you can disable the move to classic link completely from lists and libraries, because then you can be consistently in modern, even though there might be limitations in modern, but that would make a lot of sense. Cool. Were there any other technical, let's say, technical challenges, or are there any other technicalities one need to know for deploying the suits to site? So how do you deploy this? Is it a tenant scope deployment, and how does it actually activate on the site?
It is compatible across both. Like we can go at the tenant level, we can go along with the site collection app catalog as well. So it can just fit to either of them.
Cool. And then you activate the web parts and extensions, and then that activates the functionality, right?
Yeah, just as simple as that, how SPF basically works.
Cool. Exactly. Yeah, I'm repeating that so that because there's always new audience in the call as well.
Okay.
Cool. I think, and obviously, because we're talking about modern SharePoint, it is natively responsive across the devices. So sure, if there's an out-of-the-box functionality which Microsoft, there are certain exceptions on the responsiveness. I would say a small bugs which we're still fixing related on document libraries and lists. But by a rule of a thumb, modern intranet, modern SharePoint is always natively responsive, so you don't have to worry about that. And as long as you implement your SharePoint framework your customizations using SharePoint framework, your implementation is natively responsive as well. Good. I think that's it. Let's make sure that we have plenty of time for Venkat as well. Did we lose him from the call, actually? No, there he is. I'm going to promote you as a presenter.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vesa. That was a good opportunity to actually showcase the hard work and the journey that we are actually going through. Yep,
absolutely. Thank you, Subrato. I think the value of all of these things is really the discussion and the learnings, because that's how we learn from each other. And sure, there's always people have their day job, but it's really around the technology and what was challenging, what did we need to learn, were there any hints and hits and, let's say, ideas which we can share, and that's super valuable, absolutely. But thank you, Subrato and Venkat. Do we have an audio connection?
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, Vesa.
Hello. So you can actually start sharing directly. That should then take over the screen, so we can actually move from there. And crossing fingers.
Still loading.
Yeah, I got it. We are all good. And hopefully the audio. There was some audio hiccups every now and then. If you reconnect, that typically does help. We are, like I said before we started the session, we are looking into potentially moving to Teams. The move to Microsoft Teams, by the way, will be completely seamless for anybody in this call. So we'll just update the AKMS links behind the scenes, and that will then mean that the Microsoft Teams will start rather than a Skype will start. But that will happen sooner or later. So we are looking into that. The audio and video quality in Teams is better. There are certain hiccups still there, so we're looking into making that happen. But Venkat, take it away. Do the presentation. I will jump in and have a discussion again then on the topics which you covered through, and then we'll sum up the webcast. Oh, sorry, the community call. But take it away for now. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity for the OSA. So I hope I'm audible and then my screen is visible for everybody. Myself is Venkat, so I'm a senior consultant with the Technovert, and I'm also part of the product development for the Saketa. So my expertise are in SharePoint on-premises, online, and hybrid. I also focus on the MS Azure, Power Apps, Flows, and then PNP, JS, and PowerShell, which is my favorite always. And coming to our offerings as part of the Saketa, so we offer Migrator and the Internet Suite, which you have already seen before the demo. And then we also offer the business apps. And we are also winner of the Microsoft Ignite, the Best Office App Award. So you can check the more details from our Saketa website. And coming to the agenda for the today, so I'm going to give a demo because we have already seen that the site provisioning with PNP, Microsoft Flows, and then Azure Functions so far. And so we'll go through that, why it is important to know about like Azure Runbooks rather than Azure Functions. So I have the complete details you can find in my LinkedIn article. So as soon as we go through the details, I will share this LinkedIn article link on the chat window. And so when it is coming to the demo, so as part of we are also offered services to our customers. So we always think about what is the production ready solution in the Microsoft world. So when it is coming here, like when we are doing some site provisioning for our customers, customers are freaking out that using Azure Functions downgrading to 1.0 X engine and then using like experimental languages. So as we are doing some research, and then we found that so Azure Automation is an alternative solution for this. And then as we are exploring this Azure Automation Runbooks, so we came across that Azure Automation Runbooks are the powerful. It's very powerful for the PowerShell lovers. So it's not just running a script. So it can do the automation for all your the PowerShell programming. Like so if you want to manage all your Azure tenants, or maybe if you want to manage all your cloud hybrid environments, so the Azure Automation is something a better way to do that. And you can find more details on the supported languages and the Azure Functions as of today. And so let's go jump on to the demo. So as soon as yep. I hope everybody can see my screen. I'm not.
All good, all good. It is in the infinite loop right now, so that's always terrifying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first we'll go.
Sorry. There was a screenception. That's a good statement from Paul. But anyway, take it away. Sorry.
Yeah. Please stop me if anybody has any issues, like delay in screening, so that I can go in a slow phase. So I'm not going in detail about what is Azure Automation and then why it is advantageous, because we have like a very limited time here. So I'll go through that demo quickly. So before we start the Azure Automation, the capability. So first we need to go to like all services. Oh, sorry, it's not all services, and then yeah, all resources, and then create a resource. And if you go to management tools, you'll find Azure Automation. Yeah. Sorry, I think I have to switch the directory, please.
No worries, no worries. That happens for all of us. So there's so many identities and all of those, and so luckily they're working on a identity switching, so that will be easier in the future.
Yeah, that's great, but it will be always a confusion.
Yes.
Where we are.
Yes.
Okay. So as I said, we go to the create resource and management tools and then automation. So we start with the creating Azure Automation account, and which will be a account going to be used for running all the jobs in the behind the scenes. So that I have already been taking care, because it takes time, and then we don't have to wait for that time. I'll go through the one which have been already created, and then let's go to the dashboard. And then this is what the automation account I have created. And then the coolest thing is, so in Azure Functions, we always have to use the kudos tool to import the modules. With the automation, which is Azure Automation, so there is already a modules gallery which provides all the predefined Azure like PowerShell modules. So you simply go to the modules gallery and then search for that the PNP PowerShell. So it will pull up all this PNP PowerShell for online on-prem, and because it supports the cloud hybrid environment, so you can take advantage of on-prem environments as well. And then I have already imported this module, so you can find these modules here as soon as it completes the import process. So this is where I see that, so which means that I can go ahead and start writing PowerShell scripts. So where do I write the PowerShell scripts? So Runbooks is a place where you can create the PowerShell scripts, and then which you can schedule or maybe which you can run in manual. And also those PowerShell Runbooks can be integrated with your Microsoft flows. So project site provisioning, this is what I was showing as part of the demo. And I think the script is as is, what you have seen already in the Azure functions. You will compare with a similar fashion. So the coolest thing is I think I can put all these the variables, the constants like app IDs and app secrets and connection strings in the variables, so that it cannot be exposed to any other people. So that can be controlled as access control. Only people who has a high level permission, they can only change the passwords, and also you can encrypt those passwords as well. And so right now so as part of the provisioning, we have something like a provisioning template, so which is an XML. So you can take whatever the storage choice you can for storing this XML file. I prefer Azure storage as my for my files. So that way I think I don't have to depend on any other platforms. So as I'm already in Azure, I put in everything in Azure storage, and then this is where the connection string comes from, and then this is my file and everything. So basically you do the same thing, connect to the PNP site, connect to the SharePoint site, and then apply the provisioning, and then so you just complete the process. And this is a part of the like Azure Runbook. And so once you finish this, the good thing is you can always test here, like by clicking here, test pane, and you can pass the parameters. And then once you pass the parameter, it will create a job for you, and then it will process as in queue. And once you feel that everything is working fine, you come here and then you can publish here, so that you can use it in maybe from you run it manually, or maybe you can run from you can use that Runbook from the Microsoft flows as well. And coming to the next step, so how I'm going to use this Runbook from the Microsoft flows. So I have already created a flow here, and I'll simply edit and then show it. So this is basically when a HTTP request is received to the Microsoft flows. So basically when we can actually pass use this function from the site scripts, and then you can pass the parameters from there. And I'm using all those parameters to pass these as inputs to the runbooks. So there is already an action, create a job. So you just need to pass the select the subscription, and then use the resource group, and then automation account which you have created, and then runbook name. And then, so as we have seen, the Azure functions will not wait for because it uses like a job. So you simply add a job to the queue, and then it will process in the background. And here the Azure Automation create job gives the additional capability that this action can wait until the job completion. So this gives the additional flexibility that, okay, so what is my status of that job? If the job is success, then what I have to do? I can extend more in further. So maybe I can send a notification, an example, or maybe you can provision some other PowerShell scripts, or maybe you can run any other operations you want to continue with the provisioning process. You can do all these things. So as part of our services, we are actually extending this Azure Automation, this flow, to provision the Microsoft flows. So basically when we are provisioning a SharePoint site, so the flows will be always a scope to the SharePoint list or library. So what if I create a new SharePoint list as part of the provisioning into the new SharePoint site, I need to also provision the Microsoft flows. So we are actually like attaching a flow to the new SharePoint list within the site. So that way I can complete the whole provisioning process here. So in this example, I was just showing like checking the job status and then sending an email notification. So I know that we already getting a notification after site creation, but this is an example process we are just giving here. So it will returns the status, and then we can add some additional condition on top of this. And then if status is success, if status is fails, we can take an action on top of that. So this is a better way of getting a notified admins or maybe somebody else who can look into what is the issues as part of the provisioning. If provisioning fails, automatically we get notified. And so this is a part of the flow. And so I have already created site scripts and site designs. This is how it looks like, my site script. So this is a basic example I took from the Microsoft Docs. So I just replaced with my own flow here. And then I'm just applying a theme here. This is a brown theme I just created myself for my projects. And then I'm triggering a flow after this. So we just gone through like a site scripts and the site design as well. So if we still have time, we can go through, but I'm just going in to show this example. I'm going to the SharePoint page here and just create a site and then select a theme site. This is my custom design. Custom project site is my custom design here, and I'm selecting, and then I just give a name here, PNP demo, and then click next. We're just waiting for finishing it. So it is applying all the site scripts in the behind the scene, and in the meantime we can go to these jobs which has been added by the Microsoft Flow. So we can check the status here, and also we can look for the notification. So if it completes, then you will receive a notification. So we can also check the status from here itself. The job is running. I'm still waiting for the output. Yeah, it just completed. So now I can go and refresh my site. Yeah, I should see my new theme here, and also I can see the footer here, which I have been provisioning through the PNP. Yeah, I think this covered all the task involved in this process. And if anybody has any questions, please feel to ask. And then I'm also sharing a link here for feedback, so which I can take it as a feedback and then use it for further demos.
That's really good, really good. And there was a active discussion related on the Azure usage with Tom and Ralph and a few others on the call. Now I'm not going to actually, we're slightly running out of time. But really nice job on showing that in practice, and also the different ways of doing the configuration. So that's always useful because then we see different options and there's different advantages and disadvantages. And one of the things with people always keep on asking, what is the best way to do stuff? And to be honest, the answer is, well, it depends. So there's no right or wrong in many of these cases, and it might be related on small nuances. Are you going to use an Azure function or a flow or an Azure web job and so on? So whatever suits for your business uses, that's always the best thing.
Yeah, thank you.
But thank you, Venkat.
Thank you, Visa, and thank you for all the PNP contributors. It's a great helpful for us, and then it's been different from the one which we have used to the communicate with other people in the community. So it's
Yes.
a really great, and then it's like a great improvement, and then it's helpful for the starters as well.
Yep. Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
And that's actually a good point. Thank you, Venkat, on the feedback on that one as well. So one of the things what we want to do also in the future is that we really don't want these community calls to come to be the high end, the high technical deep dives on the always on the latest things either. So we really want to actually, if people are interested in doing basic demos and simple demos and getting started stuff as well, those are more than welcome, because let's face it, this technology is evolving so fast that every one of us are having a hard time of keeping up. So it's not about always having the latest and greatest and the uber technical thing is, it's more on learnings, it's more on sharing the downsides or running into an issue and explaining, well, this is how I came out of the issue, or I fall in this massive trap and now it's a dead end, and then I figure out that this alternative route might be better. Those learnings are the key. That's really the value of the community on knowing, because then other people can relate on the fact that, hey, I had exactly the same issue and they might have solved that slightly differently. And that's where the beauty of the community comes. Understanding options, understanding different ways of achieving the same end result, and advantages and disadvantages on them. And that's what we want to do with this course as well. Now, I think that's it from this call. We're 2 minutes on top of the hour, so pretty okay from a timing perspective. It should have always 5 to 10 minutes Q&A time in the end, so we can actually go through a time window. I try to be active on the chat. Everybody was super active on the chat, so thank you for that. We keep on getting that feedback all the time as well, that one of the key values of this course is the super active chat, so you're able to ask questions and other people will try to help with those. Now, we did have a survey a while back related on the should we reduce the number of community calls on the SharePoint dev side, and actually the results are basically that 90% are saying please do not change the amount of community calls. So clearly people like these things, and clearly people want to have the bi-weekly 6 plus the monthly community call. And then you can always choose which one do you want to join, and if you rather want to watch the recording, that's absolutely a valid option as well. If there's any suggestion, how do we improve this course, or how do we improve the structure, or should we have some sort of a way for you to ask questions beforehand, please let us know. For example, add comments on the GitHub in our community channel, or add comments on even the issue list, and we will follow up on those comments and suggestions later on. Now, that's one thing what I wanted to actually pinpoint. Yes, so Pavel has even though we're slightly over the time, and I do apologize on that, so Pavel has a good point. So Pavel has been suggesting for Dan Holm and let's say the experienced guys, which is Mark Cressman and Chris McNulty and Bill Bear, that we would have a similar community also for admin people, and potentially as an experience community as well. That is an ongoing discussion. The challenge related on that one is just simply resources and timing. So right now the people in Dan Holm's team do not have availability to start this kind of course. But I know that I was just chatting with Dan the day before yesterday, it was then, and they're trying to again reorganize these things. That would be, and we understand that that's highly beneficial. And thank you, Dennis. More time for Q&A. Absolutely agree on that. Because I think one of the key values of this course is also the open and transparent discussion what we're having, and that's what I'm a big proponent on. So for me, we as Microsoft has to be fully transparent, so you can trust us. Well, whatever that means. If you can never trust Microsoft, right? But I think that's it for this one. So thank you everybody for joining. The recording will be, well, at least Ralph was smiling on that one. The recording will be available in the YouTube channel within 24 hours, typically 3 or 2 p.m. Central European time tomorrow. I will add the blog notes and references, the URLs in the SharePoint dev blog. whenever the YouTube video goes live. David Warner probably is releasing his summary on this call 1 minute after we click the closing, so that will be out in Twitter quite soon as the first preview what actually happened here. He can't capture the speaking in Finglish, but he can capture the screenshots if nothing else. But thank you, David, and definitely thank you, Venkat, and thank you, Subrato. Thank you, Chris, for great demos. If there's other people in the call who wants to do demos and share your learnings and experiences around SharePoint Online, any aspects, well, on the developer side of the house, so to say, please let us know. Add a comment, for example, to the community pages in the docs.microsoft.com, and we can then arrange you a spot on the calls. Again, thank you for joining, and if you are heading for a holiday break at this point, we'll see you on January. We keep on having these calls, by the way, on every single week, so we're not actually stopping during the holiday season, so it's up to you if you want to join us or not. But thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday, and we'll be absolutely in touch. Bye-bye.